My recent visit to Mount Shasta and Ascension Rock was the one we visited second day of arrival. It was early summer morning. Air was so fresh and so crisp, carrying this silence that I say only mountains know about that. We arrived at Ascension Rock when few visitors were leaving already, so for a little while the place felt reserved just for us, and as if the time itself had opened a quiet space for us and said, "Stay as long as you need." So we climbed around, we walked around, and we took each of us, of my friends, took their own places to meditate on the top of the rock, at the bottom of the rock. And I found my special place in this triangle-like shape, a small cave. I connected and meditated, and I felt this interesting buzzing sensation. It was subtle, but yes, unmistakable. And beyond it, it still was this complete serenity with no visions, no dramatic revelations, no opening portals, just complete silence. And somewhere inside that silence also whispered, "Come back, come back." For someone like me, addicted to magic, synchronicities, and miracles, I almost was disappointed and laughed. That's it? And I had come to one of Mount Shasta's legendary places of ascension, expecting perhaps something extraordinary, and everything felt almost too quiet, too peaceful, and too ordinary. Yet the rock seemed anything but empty. Looking at the rock formations, I kept seeing what appeared like ancient guardians, those faces like frozen in time, watching silently from the stones, a lion face, Hanuman, and few other faces that I have seen while walking there and exploring the rock. Mount Shasta has gathered extraordinary stories for more than a century. Early esoteric writings spoke of hidden adepts within a mountain. Later came stories about Lemuria, the mysterious brotherhood of Mount Shasta, Saint Germain and ascended masters, and eventually Telos, the legendary Lemurian city said to exist beneath Shasta, which I also had an experience my first time when I visited a few years ago Mount Shasta. But today Ascension Rock is regarded by many spiritual seekers as one of the mountain's places of meditation and heightened consciousness. And I ask those questions. What is history? What is mythology? What is imagination? And what belongs to dimensions of experience we simply cannot measure? Perhaps every story must ultimately be filtered definitely through the Sacred Heart rather than blindly believing in all those stories. Because the energy we experience in the sacred place also meets the energy we bring into it. It just mirrors our own energy, our physical state, our thoughts, our emotions, our expectations, and our spiritual openness. A powerful place may amplify what is already present within us, And that morning, apparently, what I was being given was a silence. As in my life, I feel like I'm stepping into something new, quietly, step by step. But yet another insight floated up, and perhaps silence itself is one of the Mount Shasta's greatest medicines. There is a profound serenity around this mountain, a stillness that seems to stretch far beyond the absence of sound. And yes, there are exceptional places here where an incredible abundance of life can be felt and witnessed. Places I will introduce later on because they carry an entire different experience and expression of Mount Shasta. But through much of this land, what I experienced was something else. It was peace, space, and silence. And perhaps this is exactly why so many people are drawn here. We arrive carrying our lives with us, plans, conversations, responsibilities, questions, notifications, memories, expectations, the constant movement of mind accustomed to searching for next thing. And somewhere around this mountain, the rush begins to lose its grip. There is simply not enough noise outside to keep feeding the noise inside. At this mountain, not even a birds, just time to time a wind breeze talks, and thoughts begin to slow. The life we have been running through suddenly becomes still enough to look at. And eventually, beneath all those voices, we may begin to hear another one. The inner teacher, the inner guidance, the quiet intelligence that was speaking long before we learned to drown it out. And that guidance can appear in so many different ways, as intuition, a sudden knowing, a stranger, a synchronicity, an image in a rock, a sentence overheard at exactly the right moment, or perhaps even through something our own consciousness created in order to communicate with us in a language we are finally ready to understand. Maybe this is why sacred places affect everyone differently. We don't arrive as empty vessels, we arrive with entire inner universe. And perhaps the mountain doesn't necessarily give us something foreign, but perhaps it magnifies what is already waiting within us to be heard. Still, as we began walking away from this Ascension Rock, I remember thinking, I need to come back for more here. There was even a tiny feeling of disappointment inside me. Where is my magical experience? I live magic every day. I'm magic and miracle addict. And here universe gave me a surprise, a complete silence. But yet came the first magic of the day. As we were leaving, a group of tourists was approaching Ascension Rock. We greeted them. They looked at us and almost jumped backward. Then one of them said, "Oh my goodness, we were just talking about the mysterious beings dressed in white here." And you, ladies, are the ones. We looked at one another. Our clothing was light, and because the mountain sun had become so bright, we had wrapped with white scarves over our heads, creating rather unusual flowing silhouettes. And suddenly we understood why they were staring at us. We had gone the Ascension Rock hoping encounter the mystery, while for a few unexpected seconds we became the mystery in someone else's story. And there it was, the message. So simple that nearly missed it while waiting for something supernatural. Sometimes you don't visit sacred places to receive the miracle, but sometimes you are sent there to become part of someone else's miracle. Perhaps this is another meaning of ascension. Not collecting more visions, not chasing extraordinary experiences, not asking the universe again and again, what will you show me? What will you give me? But becoming quiet enough to ask, what can move through me today? Maybe sacred places don't always reveal themselves through thunder, visions, or portals. Sometimes they speak through silence, sometimes through strangers, sometimes through laughter, sometimes through something we perceive outside ourselves that awakens something deeply familiar within. And sometimes the miracle happens only when you are already walking away. And perhaps that was Ascension Rock teaching for me. Silence is not the absence of magic. Sometimes silence is where magic is preparing to speak. And sometimes, while we are waiting for the universe to become extraordinary for us, we are unknowingly become extraordinary in someone else's universe. I felt Ascension Rock still hearing the quiet invitation, come back. But next time, perhaps, with fewer expectations and more curiosity about whether I am arriving to receive the magic or to carry it for someone else. And so I leave Ascension Rock, not with all the answers, but with something perhaps more valuable, a deep question, a quieter mind, and another reminder that magic does not always arrive in the form we expect. Sometimes we find the mystery, sometimes mystery finds us. And sometimes, without even realizing it, we become the magic someone else was waiting to see. Mount Shasta still has many stories to whisper, many hidden corners to reveal, and many different faces of the sacred to experience. This was only one of them. See you at the next mystical place of Mount Shasta, where another story, another energy, and perhaps another little miracle is awaiting to unfold. Greetings from Sonata.